Stories that are untold, underreported, and all-out inspirational. Carey Pena reports.
Hi everyone, I'm Carey Pena, and thank you so much for listening to Carey Pena Reports on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, and for watching us on Facebook and YouTube. You can always find all of our content at inspiredmedia360.com. In studio today, we have two really inspirational people, and I'm so happy to have you both here with me today. Cancer survivor Cooper Poze and Angel Janish Pennell, who is the vice chair of the board with Southwest Kids Cancer Foundation. And Angel, this is an organization that is so near and dear to your heart, and you're such an advocate for families who are walking through the cancer journey. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. But Cooper, I do want to begin with you because you are a champion. All that you've gone through, and now you are standing up and fighting for kids who are your age when you were going through this. Tell us when you were diagnosed with cancer.
So I was diagnosed on June 9th, 2006 with Wilms tumor. It is a rare type of kidney cancer that you don't see in a lot of children. So I was 8 years old, and for a while we had kind of been experiencing weird, what we thought were stomach issues with me around second grade, and eventually it kind of rapidly, I guess you would say, enhanced into what ended up being a tumor on my right kidney. We went to multiple hospitals. We actually went to Phoenix Children's at first, and then ended up at Banner Desert, where they were able to officially diagnose me with kidney cancer. And as an 8-year-old child, like you said earlier, that's kind of when you start to kind of pick up and notice things for the first time. I knew what cancer was just because it had been a part of my family for some time. My grandmother actually was diagnosed around the same time as me. So seeing what she had already started going through, knowing what I was about to start going through, seeing the reaction from my parents, my family, when they found out about my diagnosis, it was terrifying. It was definitely something, as an 8-year-old child, you don't think about is going to happen. 8-year-old child's supposed to be going to school, having fun with his friends, learning really about just life. That's when you're starting to kind of grow up into, or you're starting to learn really what life is. And so my life kind of took a quick flip of the switch very early in my life.
Do you remember feeling fearful as to whether or not you would survive?
Yes. The first thing immediately was, am I going to die? Which, to hear me say now, is very shocking. I mean, I'm here now, thank God, but as an 8-year-old child, to sit there and have to think like, wow, I really might not even make it past third grade, was terrifying. And it was scary. It was not, to be straightforward, I was absolutely terrified. There was nothing I was thinking about other than survival. It was an instant, immediate change into survival mode. And for a moment, which again, I'm saying all these things coming from an 8-year-old's mindset, which you don't really, in this world, you don't really want to have an 8-year-old think like this, but it was, like I said, immediate survival mode. It was, am I going to live till next week? Am I going to live next month? Am I going to be here next year? Because immediately you don't really understand what's going on at first. And I kind of like to tell people I pretty much matured at the age of 8 years old because I had to go through such a extreme life experience. But yeah, it was just absolute fear. There's no other way to explain it.
What was your treatment like? How long did it go on?
So I did, it was immediate. They checked me into the hospital immediately, waited a day to get my kidney removed because the tumor was rapidly moving, was going to start moving to my left kidney. So we removed the right kidney, which had the tumor. And then from what I do remember, I was in the hospital for about a week, went home for a couple days, and then immediately started chemotherapy. Did chemotherapy a couple days a week for the first couple months, and then eventually it just changed to once a week. Did chemotherapy for about 18 months. Lost all my hair. From the last weight, I remember I was around 45, 50 pounds. Didn't go to class that much. I tried to go to class as much as possible because I wanted to feel like a normal kid. I wanted to still experience living. But, I was, like I said, 45, 50 pounds, a little skinny kid, no hair, couldn't walk longer than maybe 2 minutes, had a wheelchair to take me pretty much everywhere just because whenever we went somewhere, if we ever went anywhere, it was just, I had no power in my body to do anything. Being carried a lot by my parents, pretty much being in bed for most of my time, just sick, tired.
Waiting for it to all go away.
It to all go, exactly.
Yeah.
Not really, the mental brain power kind of turned off at some point, which, again, I keep going back to this as 8-9-year-old child. You don't want to ever experience something like that. No one ever wants to experience anything like that, but unfortunately that happens. This is the world we live in.
And Angel, I want to bring you in here because you're one of those beautiful souls who just wants to give back and feels that you can help. And the way that you give back is through Southwest Kids Cancer Foundation. The primary function here of this foundation is to raise money to send children with a diagnosis of cancer and their families to camp. Children like Cooper and
Absolutely.
Siblings and family members. Tell us about your connection to this cause.
I was blessed enough to be a faculty member and ran a research institute at Arizona State University, and one of my students, who I was able to hire as a student worker, so Cooper can appreciate these days, came on to work with me in my research institute, but during the interview he said, I will have to take 2 weeks off of every summer. Is that a problem? I said, well, no, but what are you doing? And so he went on to tell me about this camp that he had volunteered at since he was a teenager, since he was 16. And I immediately fell in love with this camp. And at this point, we were still part of the Arizona Cancer Association. And I say we, I actually wasn't part of it then, but it's very much part of me now. And we always made sure that my student's name is Keegan, Keegan Remington, and he's still very much part of the camp.
And the camp is Camp Sunrise.
Camp Sunrise and Sidekicks. So Sunrise is for the children that have the diagnosis of cancer, and Sidekicks is the camp that we provide for the siblings.
So here you were inspired by one of your students. He told you something that he was doing that was so impassioned and
Yes.
inspirational, and it got you thinking about this.
Absolutely.
At the same time, cancer has touched your life in many ways.
Yes. Unfortunately, I've lost many people to cancer and the horrible disease that it is. And most recently, I have 2 daughters, 11 years old right now and 16. And my youngest daughter lost her best friend last year. At age 9, excuse me, I'm getting a little emotional. It's just been about a year, and her name was Harmony Mosier, and she's here in the room with us today, actually.
Yeah, this beautiful little picture of her.
And we went through the battle, her heroic battle with her for the past 2 years and her family. And the fact that I was sitting on this board and so intimately aware of the resources that we could provide them and those moments of time that she could just be a normal kid and go to camp.
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about Harmony for a moment.
Yeah.
This beautiful, beautiful little soul. And when you all had to come with the realization that she was losing that fight, what was that like?
Well, Cooper, I think, was trying to allude to this a bit in his conversation when, you're in that moment of an 8-year-old, and this is just not something that as a human being we are prepared for. Kids are supposed to live a long life. They're supposed to outlive their parents. They're supposed to finish school and graduate and do great things. And I don't know. I feel like, and I don't know if Cooper, if this is kind of how you felt, I feel like there were 2 sides of my brain, and I think I speak for, some of the family members and my own family members that went through this, where we saw, if you will, the science, the clinical side. We knew what was happening, but emotionally, we couldn't wrap our mind around that. So still trying till the very last minute.
Yeah, to hold on to her.
That there's this last experimental drug is gonna save her.
Yeah.
Us being in the room and bringing this book that she really wanted to read is going to give her some more energy to fight another day. And even though you could clinically and it was very observable what was happening and where it was going. And all cancer's evil, but hers was just beyond
How did it
words.
change you as a person?
It changed me watching my daughters go through this and support these two girls, because Harmony has an older sister who is best friends with my older daughter too. They've known each other since they were 3. That's how we met in preschool, if you will. Mm-hmm. The strength that those 3 girls had and provided for Harmony was just unbelievable. And the friendship between Harmony and my daughter, Callie, it's nothing that I've ever witnessed, and I don't know that I'll ever witness again. Callie would just ask to just go and, sit by her bed. She knew that Harmony was tired or didn't have the energy or didn't want to talk, or unfortunately Harmony was very disfigured from the cancer. And so our natural instinct, and when I say our, Carey, her mom, and I were like, oh, this is too much for Callie. This is too much. And Callie would just beg. And finally, those last few weeks, those last few months, it was like, no, we can't have this regret. And they would go and she would just sit by her hospital bed and read with her. They drew together.
And you're hitting on the point, and this is what I thought was so important to talk about today, is the importance of allowing these kids to feel normal. And the camp experience is something that really allows the kids to not feel, oh, you're going through cancer. Everyone wants to talk to you about cancer, and you lost your hair, and what happened. Speak to me about that experience, Cooper, and feeling like, you can just be a kid.
That is why camp is so important. I kind of like to describe camp as my Disneyland, because it's the best place to be for me, in my opinion, especially growing up. You're around these kids who they're you, like you're the same. You can have a conversation with them without getting a weird look or someone asking you a million questions or someone just not really understanding. You know what I mean? It's a place to feel normal for the first time in a long time. And for me, growing up, I always wanted camp to be longer than just the week. It was always something where why can't this be the whole summer? Why can't this be longer than 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Because in my opinion, camp made me love the wilderness. It brings out this person in you that it almost is feels like it's hiding inside of you. It almost makes you kind of embrace life more, because you're meeting all these wonderful people. And I have met people over the years at camp that I'm still friends with to this day, who I hang out with to this day, talk to almost every single day. I mean, especially growing up as a kid, we didn't really have a cell phone or anything. So to meet these people and then go a whole year and then see them again, the excitement just builds up and builds up and builds up, and you explode with joy by the time you get there. And the people that we have here at camp are so unique and so special in their own ways. Camp itself is amazing, but the people who make camp happen, the counselors, the kitchen staff, the med shed, everyone.
Volunteers
are amazing. I mean, literally everyone who is involved with camp would not be what it is without the people who make it happen.
The focus, and this is one of the reasons I know what Harmony really liked about camp, is there wasn't a focus on what she couldn't do or what she was missing back home. camp is all about what you can do.
Yeah.
And, I'm so glad that you brought up the sibling camp too, Camp Sidekicks. The journey that these siblings go through on so many different levels. The guilt for being upset that you're not this, you can never be the center of attention. The guilt for wanting to be noticed when everything else is being focused on.
And the reality that you don't know if your brother or sister is going to make it.
That, and one of the absolutely, I mean 100%, and one of the things that many of our counselors talk about at the sibling camp is these often late night talks, one-on-one talks with the campers that are these siblings that say, I was so scared to come this year because I don't know, my sister's going through this treatment right now. Things are, looking really scary. Should I be away? Shouldn't I be with my family? Just that, or should I be having this much fun?
Yeah.
And being able to have these folks around you that really get where you're coming from.
Is the sole purpose of the Southwest Kids Cancer Foundation is to send more kids to camp?
Absolutely, and keep the camp running and provide the best resources to these awesome volunteers and camp counselors that we can. So unfortunately, everything takes money.
Yeah.
So we have an amazing kitchen staff, for example, but they can only be as amazing as they can be if we get the resources they need to provide these amazing foods or arts and crafts or a lot of our camp counselors come from a background of education, so they're teachers or nurses, and they really get and
big chunk,
and they know how to make things out of nothing. They are amazing people, and we have a big chunk of our counselors that have been there for 20 plus years, 15 years. I mean, they just keep coming back, and some of them, this is their vacation. This is what they do as their vacation every year. I mean, talk about dedication. And those kids know it. I mean, someone like Cooper that's been going for 10 years, yes, he's now a counselor, but he's working alongside these folks that helped him get to the top of that hill.
Cooper, what do you think it is that people may not understand about what it's like to go through cancer? I truly believe, as a journalist, having interacted with thousands of people over the years, most people really do care. But it's hard to really, truly understand what that journey's like. What do you want people to better understand?
It's funny you bring this up because having cancer at such a young age, meeting friends, it's kind of a talking point that comes up at some point, and a lot of my friends have tried to, not so much anymore, just because my friends who I'm friends with now have known me for so long, they know all the things I do for camp and just everything that I've been through. A lot of people try and comprehend what you've gone through, and I try, and there's really no way of explaining it, because that was the darkest point in my life, and it's something you would never wish on anyone. And it's kind of something that's unexplainable to fear for your own life. And it's just unexplainable. It really is. I would never wish it on anyone. And I've lost a couple people as well, and I just recently lost my Uncle Mike to cancer, and to see him have to go through all that for me internally, to feel what he's going through. As you can see me now, it breaks you. It really does, and it's undescribable. It really is. There's just no way to describe it unless you've gone through it and lived it your own.
You can't control very much that has to do with cancer, but you can control the ability to spread some sunshine, and that's the goal that you guys have in honor of all those who've lost their battle, like little Harmony.
We want people to just be aware that we are here for these families. And one thing I want to make sure that comes out is camp is provided at no cost to anyone, regardless. regardless of social economic status, regardless of job status, whether they ever had any history with camp previously or anything. It is absolutely free to all the campers that come and their family members. So we do have family retreats as well.
Well, I think that's a great point, and thank you so much for saying that, because cancer is a horrible thing to go through, but especially if you're a family that it struggles financially, and then to not be able to have the access to a beautiful experience like Camp Sunrise. So it is beautiful.
There's no applying for grants or anything like that. You sign up. There's obviously some medical history and things like that we need to be aware of, but money is never brought up. And so that's why it's so important for us to raise these resources.
And once again, the camp is Camp Sunrise, and the website is swkidscancerfoundation.org. Cooper, I'm going to give you the final word. What kind of inspiration do you want to leave people with?
Kids need this happiness. Kids need this time to be a kid, and this is why we are here, and this is why we are trying to do everything that we can in order to keep camp going, because without this camp, for me personally, without this camp, I don't know what kind of person I would be, where I would be today, because I have molded myself into a completely different person because of this camp. And without the people that I have met throughout the years, the men and women who I consider parents in a way, from my point of view, I don't know where I would be in this world today.
Thank you guys so much for being here. You're going to be a journalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I knew I liked you from the very, very beginning. You have to come intern with me.
No, yes, of course, please. I'm looking for one.
Proud of where you're going. Thank you guys both so very much.
And thank you, Carey, for all that you've done for camp these last few years.
I'm happy to support you guys.
Thank you.
In every way. Thank you guys so much for listening and for watching Carey Pena Reports. You can find all of our content online at inspiredmedia360.com. Take care.